It has been nearly 2 years since Season 1 of House of the Dragon finished, and now we are just over 2 days away from Season 2, as of the time this video goes live. And I'm sure that most of you aren't a Song of Ice and Fire super nerd like me, who have remembered every minute detail of every single second. More namely, I'm sure that the general circular shape of their family tree is very confusing. So today I thought it would be apt to fully explain the family tree of House of the Dragon Season 2. This includes essentially all of the main characters we will see throughout Westeros, give or take a few new characters, going as far back as the Chad King himself, Jaehaerys I. As a warning, this video will contain minor spoilers for some new characters in the show, so sit back, relax, and take in the absolute monstrosity of the House of the Dragon family tree. Starting off, we have King Jaehaerys I and his wife, Queen Alysanne Targaryen, and of course, it wouldn't be the Targaryens if they weren't brother and sister. Jaehaerys, known as the Old King, was the fourth monarch of the Targaryen dynasty after his uncle, Maegor I. King Jaehaerys and Alysanne had 13 children in total, however only 9 made it to adulthood, and of those 9, only 4 were important to the family tree. These 4 being in age order Aemon, Balon, Alyssa and Daella. I have put them in this order however, for the sake of the tree. I will mention his other children that survived childhood quickly though. These are Maegel, Vaegon, Saera, Visera and Gale. Anytime you see a circle with a house's sigil inside it, that represents other siblings born to those parents. I'm also going to move Aemon to the right of his siblings for reasons you'll see later on. Now, following Targaryen traditions, Alyssa and Balon are married, whilst Daella is married to Lord Roderick Arryn of the Vale, who was Lord of the Eyrie during the reign of Jaehaerys. They had one child together, who we know as Aemma Arryn, sadly killing Daella in the process. Roderick did have a previous wife who sadly died beforehand, however we don't know how. What we do know is that Roderick and his first wife had 2 sons whose names we don't know, and 2 daughters, Ellis and Amanda Arryn. We assume Roderick's firstborn son goes on to be Lord of the Eyrie after his father. Now this is where things get a little confusing. In this tree I'm going to assume that Lady Jane Arryn, who we will see as Lady of the Vale in House of the Dragon Season 2, played by Amanda Collin, is the daughter of this Lord Arryn, so Roderick's granddaughter. But take that with a grain of salt, as it's not confirmed. In the books, we know Jane's father and uncles were all killed when she was 3 years old by the Stonecrows, one of the mountain clans. To me at least, it makes sense that when Roderick Arryn died, it passed to his firstborn son, who only had the chance to have one child, a daughter who is Jane, and then when he and his brother died unexpectedly, it passed down to her. This is just what I think, and I know it's heavily disputed among the fanbase. Interestingly, in the last episode of House of the Dragon Season 1, Rhaenyra calls Jane Emma's cousin, but what I'm proposing would make Emma Jane's aunt. I'm quite eager to see how they sort this out in the coming weeks with Season 2. Now heading back to the Targaryens, Jaehaerys' first heir, Aemon, is married to Jocelyn Baratheon, the daughter of Lord Rhaegar Baratheon, the Lord of Storm's End during the reigns of Maegor and Jaehaerys, and his wife, the Lady Alyssa Velaryon. I would like to mention that Lady Alyssa is also the mother of both Jaehaerys and Alysanne, having them with her first husband, King Aenys Targaryen. I won't include him on this tree however, because neither Aenys nor Alyssa are important to the story. This means that Aemon got with his aunt, which sounds like another Targaryen we know. And yes, I'm fully aware I just recognised Jon as a Targaryen, when it's obvious to everyone that Jon is actually the love child of Roose Bolton and Jaqen H'ghar. Alyssa and Rhaegar were married whilst Alyssa was Queen Regent and Rhaegar was acting hand of the king, and they had 2 children, Jocelyn and Bormund Baratheon. Bormund would go on to be Lord of Storm's End after his father, which we see in House of the Dragon when young Rhaenyra is entertaining her suitors at Storm's End. We don't know the name of Bormund's wife, but we know they had one son, Boros Baratheon, who again would succeed his father, and we see this in the last episode of House of the Dragon when Prince Lucerys goes to gain his support, and we all know what happened next. Boros will be the Lord of Storm's End for almost the entirety of the rest of House of the Dragon, and is the ancestor of the Baratheons we know from the main show, with his wife, the Lady Elendil Caron. Aemon and Jocelyn had one child together before Aemon's demise on Tarth, Rhaenys Targaryen, the queen who never was. And getting ahead of myself a little bit, Rhaenys married Lord Corlys Velaryon, the Sea Snake and Lord of Driftmark, having 2 children together, Laena and Laenor Velaryon, but we'll get back to them in a little while. Heading once again back to Jaehaerys' children, we have the beginnings of the main characters for House of the Dragon, remembering that Alyssa and Balon Targaryen were married under typical Targaryen tradition while they had 2 children, Viserys Targaryen and the Rogue Prince himself, Daemon Targaryen. Viserys marries Aemma Arryn, the daughter of Lord Roderick and Daella Targaryen from earlier on. meaning Viserys married his cousin, which to give credit to them is less inbred than usual. And of course they have a child being Rhaenyra Targaryen, one of, if not the main focus of House of the Dragon, and the leader of the Black faction. As of now you may be thinking, why is Rhaenyra, Daemon and Rhaenys' sigil not the Targaryen one? And it's because that is a sigil of the Blacks, in the books at least. So whenever you see that, just remember they are Targaryen who's a member of the Black faction. There will be a similar one for the Greens when we get to them later on. I would also like to say I will not be covering the succession crisis that led Viserys to be king, because it's a video in itself. So for now, accept that at this point of the tree, Viserys is now Viserys I and king of the Iron Throne. Daemon, of course, following the very unfortunate death of his first wife, the Lady Rhea Royce, marries Laenor Velaryon without Viserys' consent, leading to them fleeing to Pentos in Essos, which is where we find them after the 10-year time jump. A year prior to that, Rhaenyra marries Laenor Velaryon. Daemon and Laena have two daughters together, Baela and Rhaena Targaryen. In the books they are twins, but in this show they are a few years apart, one of the many changes within this small section of the family tree from book to screen. Now Rhaenyra, despite trying to have children with Laenor, fails because of course we know that Laenor is gay. She instead turns to the commander of the City Watch, Harwin Breakbones of House Strong. I'm not entirely sure why he's called Breakbones, probably something to do with the fact he was considered the strongest man in the Seven Kingdoms. With Harwin, Rhaenyra has 3 strong boys. Princes Jaehaerys, Lucerys and Joffrey Velaryon. All bastards of course, but officially named Laenor Velaryon's children, and are put officially in quote marks because everyone knows they are most definitely not Velaryons. Harwin has other family members important to the story as well. His father, Lionel Strong, the Lord of Harrenhal, and his younger brother, Lord Larys the Clubfoot, aptly named after his clubfoot. He becomes Lord of Harrenhal after killing his father and brother in a fire at Harrenhal. Now Lionel also allegedly has a bastard daughter named Alice Rivers, who has the nickname of the Witch Queen. We will see her in House of the Dragon Season 2, played by Gail Rankin. I imagine that the weird dream sequence we see Daemon in during all of the trailers from Season 2 is the result of Alice's witchcraft. Following the deaths of Laena and Laenor in fairly quick succession, ever so fortunately, Daemon and Rhaenyra were free to marry again, and there wouldn't be a family tree involving the Targaryens if they didn't marry each other. They have 2 sons together, Aegon and Viserys. However, they don't have that big an impact on the story until the end of the Dance of Dragons. I would also like to point out while we are this side of the tree that Laenor, before his quote death, allegedly had 2 bastard sons, Adam and Alan of Hull. Now I don't know about you, but considering Laenor's preferences, it's much more likely that they are the bastard sons of Lord Corlys, which gives the name Sea Snake an entirely new meaning. Again, hopefully, this gets some confirmation in Season 2. Right, now back to the second main event of the family tree, the Greens. This is to the total of 3 people that actually support them over the Blacks. That was a joke, please don't leave. Following the death of Emma Arryn in childbirth, Viserys needed a new wife, and mainly because of the schemes of his hand Otto, he thought it was a good idea to marry his teenage daughter's best friend, Alicent Hightower. It's not too bad, only like a 30-year age gap. Alicent's parents of course are Otto Hightower, the aforementioned hand to King Viserys, and his unknown wife, who died shortly before the beginning of House of the Dragon. Alicent has siblings, one of which we know for certain appears in Season 2, that being Sir Gawain Hightower, being played by Freddie Fox. Otto also potentially has 1 or many more sons, although not explicitly confirmed. The Lord of Old Town and head of House Hightower is Otto's brother, Lord Hobart Hightower. I will just say that Lord Hobart is technically a show-only character. In the books he has no name, but they are essentially the same person, just putting a name to the face. We know that Hobart/Lord Hightower has multiple children, but his son and heir is Ormond Hightower. I will point out also that in the books, by the start of the Dance of Dragons, Ormond is Lord of Old Town after his father's death. I'm not sure we've had any confirmation of this in the show yet, so we'll have to wait and see. I imagine Hobart died in the 10-year time gap, as suits his book death, at around 126 AC, and Ormond succeeded him. Lord Ormond is married to Samantha Tarly, and his line reaches all the way to the start of the books, I believe. Now Alicent has 4 children with King Viserys, Aegon II, Helena, Aemond One-Eye, and Daeron the Daring, although Daeron seems to be forgotten about in both Seasons 1, and with no confirmation for Season 2, I doubt he's there either. According to Ryan Condal, he does exist in the show, but we probably won't see him until Season 3 maybe, but at this point it's wishful thinking. Once again, following Targaryen traditions, Aegon and Helena were wed and have 3 children in the second smaller time jump. These are the twins Jaehaerys and Jaehaera, and their younger brother Maelor. Now Maelor is yet to appear in the show, but we do see his character represented in the opening of House of the Dragon, so we can assume he exists. Going back to the far right hand side of the tree now, mainly because I've run out of room, we have the dragon seeds. I won't give too much away, but they are bastards of House Targaryen who have the potential to claim dragons for the war ahead. These of course are Hugh Hammer, Nettles, Ulf the White and Silver Dennis. From things I've seen online and in the trailers, it looks like Nettles won't be appearing on the show and instead Rhaena will be taking her storyline, which honestly is very disappointing as in Fire and Blood, Nettles plays a very vital role with developing Daemon's character even more. I'm sure the writers have done a good job with adapting the story for Rhaena, but some part of me wishes they don't change it. And there you have it, the entire family tree of House of the Dragon Season 2 explained. I do want to apologise for how messy it is, but there really is no efficient way of fitting everything together while still keeping full cohesiveness. If you have any questions, then feel free to ask below. I do look at all of them and will answer to the best of my ability. That being said, I'll be doing episodic comparisons of the show versus Fire and Blood, coming out around a week or two after the episode airs. If you want more information on that, check one of my recent community posts. I hope you did enjoy, but for the time being, bye bye now.